It's the biggest win in Mammoth franchise history. 4-3 in overtime over the Avalanche.
You are Locked On Mammoth, your daily podcast on the Utah Mammoth, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Man, how about that one? Holy cow, 4-3 in overtime. I called it. I told you they were going to win this game. They did, and I'm calling it right now. It's the biggest win ever in Utah Mammoth franchise history. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We appreciate you being here and being a part of Locked On Mammoth, and we also appreciate you making us your first listen each and every single day when it comes to the Utah Mammoth hockey team. I'm veteran NHL voice Tom Callahan, joined, as always, by longtime team analyst Robyn Leaño. And that game was huge. It really was. We got to jump in with both feet because, Robyn, coming into this one, we said, what's going to give? Colorado undefeated in regulation, or the Mammoth on a 3-game win streak at home and looking like they're putting the pieces together? That game was a treat all the way around.
It was so exciting to watch, Tom. We just saw a showcase of talent in this game that just made the entire game exciting from start to finish.
Absolutely amazing game. We're going to talk about all of it. And the Mammoths stay red hot. 4 in a row at home. What a great homestand. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Robyn, heading into this one, we said this was a really important game. And for the Mammoth to use as a measuring stick, and keep in mind, this again, there's still no Dursey in this lineup. And they lost McBain there. He didn't come back out for the third period. Going to be interested to see what the post analysis is on how he's feeling. It was kind of looked like his left ankle. We'll find out. But what an effort, Robyn. What an effort. Veg was awesome in that the defense did enough, right? They did enough. Both teams got to 3, which they usually need to do to win the game. And then somebody's got to win it, OT or a shootout. And the Mammoth actually lost the draw to start things out, but then took advantage of the turnover.
Absolutely. And I feel like the reference that you said there is did enough is the best way you can describe it, right? Because it takes a really good defense to really hold Colorado, right? The Avs are a really good hockey team. I mean, you take a look at, any of the goals that Colorado got. Those are ones that, those are hard goals to be able to defend, hard goals to save. And but despite that, the Mammoth had an answer to it, and it just made it made it great.
How about, and we're going to start with the last goal first because the OT winner was huge. The patience of Keller on the wing was incredible. But how about Guenther slowing himself up just enough? And if you watch that goal in slow motion, he knows he's too far in past the line for the forehand because he's a right-hand shot. He has to flip the stick to the backhand, just gets the deflection in past the left pad. That was a thing of beauty. That was artistry, a goal scorer's goal, and Guenther is scoring the big goals in big moments.
Not only that, Tom, but the pass itself from Clayton Keller. I was telling you before we head on the air, on that pass, 1 second too early, a defender or the goalie get the stick on it, and then it deflects wide and goes somewhere else. 1 second too late, and it hits the post because it doesn't even get the time to get to Guenther in the first place. It is a perfectly timed pass that got to Guenther, and of course Guenther being smart with that backhand as well. And that's what just makes it an chef's kiss, just an absolute beauty of a goal that you just don't even think about you'd ever see.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. And it was fantastic. And again, Utah didn't start with possession, but Robyn, you talk about doing just enough. And I felt like tonight defensively, and this is a royal we defensive, meaning everybody on the ice, all 5 players, did enough on the back check, did enough to block shots, did enough to force turnovers, and it helped them win the game tonight. That really is what it comes down to, that they did enough there. Now, I do want to talk about the forecheck as well a little bit later on. I know you want to get to looking at some of the heat maps and everything. But the other thing too, Lawson Krause scores. That's awesome to see. Schmaltz still looks pretty darn good out there.
Yeah.
Sergachev finally gets on the sheet. So that was nice to see. And again, generating those turnovers, and I guess we can start talking about the forecheck because they were finally getting in on pucks in hot pursuit. We've been begging them to do this all year. It's winning hockey. It's very easy to see it's winning hockey because we see teams raise the Stanley Cup year after year who are good at doing this. Robyn, somebody finally got the message, and apparently it was the Mammoth.
You know, at this point, Tom, I have a feeling that they listen to our show because we have been asking for it.
We have, and had to do a little mic switch there. That should be a lot better. Boy, oh boy, I tell you, and Colorado didn't quit, right? Colorado had their top line out there late in the third period, banging away. Absolutely banging away. They just kept coming at the Mammoth in waves. And Veg made some big saves too. I don't want to overlook him in all of this because I thought there were a couple of times where he made some 10-bell saves that just, like when the Mammoth needed a lift, they got it tonight, no matter who it was from, whether it was from the goaltending, whether it was from the physical play, whether it was from the forecheck. They just, every time they kind of needed it, that was a complete effort. And Robyn, I'm not kidding when I call this the most important game in franchise history. This is we're taking the next step and we're doing it right now game. It's what it's what they're showing the rest of the NHL. That should have put everybody on notice, that game.
100%, Tom. And you mentioned being able to weather that storm too from Colorado at the end there, right? Because Colorado was really they were really giving it all to Utah towards the end there, right? They were really trying to go for it. I mean, anyone who watched the shot counter on its own, right, saw that it was like Utah got to 30 pretty early, and then like it was like at 20 or something like that for Colorado, and then within 5 minutes it's up to 30 as well for Colorado. It was insane. And this heat map alone too will tell you what that third period looked like, Tom. I mean, this game flow map, I should say.
You can definitely see where, I mean, look, there's going to be ups and downs in every single one of them, but man, how about the way it just favored Colorado? And again, Utah finding a way is what I love about this. And it graphically represents Utah found a way. They did it. The Avalanche only had, by the way, and there were only 3 penalties in the game, but they only had 1 power play. And the Mammoth went 1 for 2 on their power play. So that's good. They played a disciplined game as well, which you really have to do against a difficult Avalanche team. These guys are so hard to beat.
They are,
because they don't beat themselves.
No, they don't. And it's a team of just so much talent, right? Like to be able to defend McKinnon, to defend Natchez, to defend a lot of these players out, to defend Makar, like Makar being a defenseman out, as well. Like those are, that's an incredible hockey team. You have to tip your hat to that team because of how much talent is on there. But of course, on the flip side, with how Utah was able to manage that and just perform under pressure against this good of a team, it shows what's the term we've been using, Tom? What's the term that they've been using as well? How much this team has matured.
Yes. And this is all part of it. Huge parts of it. And to see it tonight, I mean, Mikhail Sergachev had a goal and 2 assists tonight, so he shows up on the score sheet in a big way. But the other nice thing was, Robyn, he's listed as having 2 giveaways, and I actually didn't. There was no real point in the game. You know how sometimes you see a guy do something, and you're like, oh, Smith, what are you doing? You know, I didn't really have a lot of that reaction tonight. I just had oh, that was a hard play. Okay, that was a difficult play. Okay, that was Colorado made that happen. So I feel like that also makes me feel good. I'm not saying there weren't errors and that there's not things you can clean up. There always are.
Right.
But boy, I just felt so much better about seeing a very complete effort tonight.
And I think a lot of that too is just how much smarter of a team has been overall. I mean, take a look at Sergachev's goal, for example, right? When of him stepping up, right? He's getting up, considerably closer, right? More than any most defensemen would. But what we saw in that play being drawn up was Simashev hanging back,
right?
Smartfully hanging, hanging back and like, you know what? Let you do your thing, but in case something happens, I'm gonna hang back and make sure that, like, if it turns out going back the other way, I'm here to help keep the game in check.
Yeah, they absolutely need more of that for sure. They do. So that is absolutely huge. Robyn's got a map. Wants to throw up a heat map. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the locations of the shots. Did the Mammoth do what we talked about as far as locating their own shots, but also more importantly, how did the defense perform against Colorado? We're going to talk about that too. And today's show is brought to you by Monarch. Look, let's be honest. Most of us can't even name all our financial accounts, let alone what you're worth. Between your 401ks, your savings, your investments, it's actually pretty easy to lose track, and that can mean leaving money on the table. That's why I started using Monarch. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or on your phone. It's helped me organize my accounts. I love having everything all in one place. It's absolutely fantastic because it's easier to track my spending. You get a better handle on your investments, what's going on. And again, you don't have to touch a spreadsheet. You don't have to be a wizard with that stuff. Monarch's visual dashboards and smart tools make it so much easier to understand where my money's going and how to make it work harder for me. Don't let financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Use our code LOCKEDONNHL at monarch.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarch.com, code LOCKEDONNHL for half off your first year. And today's episode also brought to you by Rugiet. Look, let's be real. Making excuses doesn't solve anything. We've all had them before. It's just stress. I'm tired. Or it happens to everybody sometimes. But when it comes to performance, sometimes your body just needs a little extra support. And that's where Rugiet comes in. Rugiet.com offers fast-acting, doctor-prescribed treatments for ED designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. If prescribed, your treatment will ship discreetly straight to your door. The process is fast, it's simple, and it's private. And most importantly, it's all handled by real doctors. Visit rugiet.com/LockedOnNHL to get 15% off your first order. That's rugiet.com/LockedOnNHL. And don't forget to use our code LOCKEDONNHL so they know we sent you. Rugiet, stop making excuses and start making moves. All right, Tom Callahan, Robyn Leaño here with you. Hey, if you're still with us, please subscribe if you haven't already. It takes you 2 seconds. Go ahead and click the button, whether on YouTube or you're listening on the audio device of your choice. Wherever you get your podcast, we are all over the place. We really appreciate it, and it helps us too. Click that thumbs up too if you're on YouTube, and also when you hit the bell, that will get you notifications every time we drop a new show. So thank you very much for subscribing, for interacting. If you have questions, throw them down in the chat. What did you guys think about the performance of the Mammoth tonight? Do you think I'm being hyperbolic by saying this is the biggest win ever for the Mammoth in their franchise history? Robyn, I'll defend that statement. I believe it. I believe this is the biggest win this team has ever had. Seriously.
And I'd be with you on that too. I feel like this team has just done enough to just bring in that level of excitement.
I thought the roof was coming off Delta Center.
Oh yeah.
It was so loud in there. So loud. The crowd was amazing. Everybody was fired up. When that OT winner went in, I wish I had a noise meter. I would have loved to have seen what the decibel measurement was when that puck went in the net.
I mean, forget the noise meter, Tom. Let's check and see if it registered on any local seismographs.
Right? There's a 3.4 quake at the Delta Center. My goodness. No, that was crazy. Like, it was so exciting. And 4-0 at home. Robyn, that's one thing they didn't do last year. They did not take care of business when they needed to take care of business. They didn't do enough at home. They didn't do enough against the teams they needed to beat. So far this year, the only game I've really been kind of tweaked about them not getting points from was Chicago. Other than that, they've been taking care of business.
Yeah, I mean, the loss to Colorado in the opening game of the season, we thought was a good game, a good effort on their part, right? Because we
Close
again
game,
we tipped our hat to Colorado, even then, saying, "Hey, that's a good hockey team." To Nashville, would have liked it to be a bigger win, but 2 points were 2 points. We took it. Then you're right. That Chicago game was the only one which we really were upset about.
Yeah.
But this team has really shown the resilience, and it's been exciting that they're putting it out there. And I feel like this was the first game of the season where we really saw exactly what this team could be capable of. And that's what we talked about when we going into this game in the pregame. We talked about how important of a game this was to showcase what they really can do, because it is going to be their biggest challenge thus far.
Now, next segment, we're going to talk about the road trip coming up and how important this win is to set the table for that road trip. It's huge. But before we do that, Robyn, I know you wanted to talk about the heat map, look at the shots a little bit here, and talk about what that means for performance for both teams in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to do my best to, also do right by our audio listeners. They're not going to be able to see this heat map. But I'm bringing it up so those that are on YouTube now can see the heat map going up. But what I want to point out, Tom, not necessarily on the Utah side, but taking a look at Colorado's shot options. What Utah did on those Colorado shot options is they forced a lot of those shots to be on the perimeter. And you can see there was a lot of there was a lot from the high slot, a lot from the point area, where it really forced them to take those shots that maybe that's kind of what we ended up seeing in kind of rack up the Corsi for or Fenwick in this case, because this is what it's showing, right? It's showing the Fenwick on the heat map, really showcasing what this team was trying to do.
This is actually, Robyn, it's kind of funny. I feel like what the Colorado shots are showing, which is top of the circles, high slot, almost to the blue line, and both points out high. That was the first couple of games for Utah this year. And
yeah,
look, Utah has found a way to score some goals, but tonight they kind of reversed it. The U doesn't start in the corners and go up and around to the blue line and down. The U goes the other way. It starts at the points and then it makes its way along the goal line. And so there's a big U shape that runs through those face-off dots. I love that. I love that they were getting shots from down low, shots from the circle, especially on the right side. That is where you need to be if you're going to put pucks in the net. And I mean, I feel like you can't ask for much more than this effort offensively. And then defensively for Utah, what it means is they really did do a nice job of allowing Colorado to keep that puck outside, move it around outside. Yeah, they got some chances from in tight in front of the net, and that's where Veg came up big. But for the most part, I thought they did like I said, they did enough defensively tonight.
They really did. And for those that, again, are on the audio side and want to actually see what we're showing you, if you want to, feel free to pause right now, go to naturalstattrick.com and bring up the heat map for the game. We're on 5-on-5. I personally right now have it on 5-on-5 score and venue adjusted. It actually adds a little bit of a weight, by the way, to critical situations in the game. So like you might see a little bit of extra weight on Colorado side when they were down towards the end there. where we actually see specifically that high slot goal from Marty Necas that was like right on the end there as they were pulling pulling the goalie. But what it also doesn't show, because it is 5-on-5, Tom, it doesn't show the power play goal that was right up there, right in that high danger area for Utah, as well as the game winning goal, which was in overtime 3-on-3.
Right. And I mean, what a great goal it was. But you know what? I really was very pleased with a lot of the Mammoth effort tonight. And to look at their record now and see that they're 5-2 and they're 4-0 at home. And again, Veg was awesome. I thought he played great because there were some chances in tight for Colorado. And I mean, look, that Necas shot was ridiculous, right?
That was
sick.
Like it would take an amazing, unbelievable goalie to save that, right? That's just like
with a little bit of luck thrown in.
Yeah, with a little bit of luck that's thrown in, because there's just the pure speed and the just the skill on that shot was unbelievable. Like that's something that like you're like, all right, like you're on the opposition, but okay, that was neat. That was one amazing goal.
It's funny, as the opposition play-by-play broadcaster, there were only 2 times that I can remember off the top of my head. It might have happened more than that, but there's only 2 times that goals were scored where I actually got excited for the other team to score. And one, it won't surprise you, was the Washington Capitals back in their heyday, the Ovechkin-Backstrom line that Johansson was on. I mean, it was just an incredible goal, and it was in the preseason. But the other one was Pavel Datsyuk absolutely pretzeled everybody on the Predators, went in and scored just this crazy goal. And Robyn, I don't know. Had I been calling this game tonight, I might have got excited about that Necas shot, because it just was a shooter. It's a goal scorer's goal. And it's cool to see those things. It's easier to talk about it in a win, but sometimes you just got to step back and appreciate the talent. And Utah's got plenty of goal scorers. We're going to see those goals coming from our guys too, but just for a moment, we can appreciate that Necas goal.
It was like I said, like it was a thing of beauty, but what was interesting is that kind of showcased what Colorado was doing, by the way, when it came to the critical situations, right? That they were really trying to get a good shot on. And what they did was they trusted in one of the best goal scorers to do that. And that's what got the game tied up and forced into overtime, which, of course, if we hadn't gotten to overtime, we wouldn't have seen that beauty. But I will say, though, Tom, 4-3 was the final score, but the final score could have ended up being 5-4 because 2 disallowed goals on both sides.
Right. There were 2 disallowed goals tonight, and good point. We didn't really talk about those, but that was actually a sharp catch by Utah to catch that offside on the Colorado goal. Could have made it 2-0. Would have been a different game, different complexion at that point. So that was a very important video replay.
And very important. And on the other side, a little sad that Marino got robbed of a goal. If you look at it, it's just barely goaltender interference there. So like you're just like, okay, all right, I guess.
Yeah, nobody can define goaltender interference anyway. It's a very
what even is goaltender interference?
Well, I could tell you what it is. I know it when I see it, especially if I'm the goalie. I'll tell you exactly what it is.
Of course, you can.
Yes. So, Robyn, I'm going to tell you exactly what's coming up on this road trip now for the Utah Mammoth. How big is this game setting the table for them going out now to finish October with what could be a pretty difficult stretch? But at 5-2, the confidence is probably riding a little bit higher. Let's get into that.
And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I using FanDuel for just about everything that I use when it comes to sports betting. It just makes my sports watching experience all that just more exciting. On football Sundays, I will go ahead and maybe make a 16-leg parlay on all the games happening for that week. Or maybe I'll do a whatever else it might be. Maybe double down on my fantasy players or just do whatever. Just to make everything a little bit more exciting. Whether you're a casual fan or love diving into some stats, either basic stats or advanced stats like myself, FanDuel makes the game day experience just that much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today to get started.
Tom Callahan, Robyn Leaño here with you, Locked On Mammoth. Tell your friends if you like the show. Boy, oh boy, we have a lot to talk about. Got a big road trip coming up for this Mammoth team. Robyn, in fact, 8 of the next 9 are on the road. They play 4 in a row on the road to end October. They come home for 1, and then they go right back out. And that's an Eastern road swing, that second trip. But here's what's coming up for the Mammoth. So now they get a moment tonight to sleep in their own bed, celebrate the win. Tomorrow they'll be off to St. Louis to take on the Blues. That's Thursday. Then Saturday, the Wild. Sunday, the Jets, which is not a bad back-to-back as far as the flight goes, but it is an international flight, so there's a little bit of extra time to clear customs, that sort of thing. Then they go Winnipeg to Edmonton, and I'm just hoping Edmonton hasn't woke up by then. I'm hoping Connor McDavid hasn't woke up by then.
Edmonton always has a bit of a slow start. So, but you don't know when they wake up. Sometimes they'll wake up at the most random time in the season, and then all of a sudden they won't be unstoppable until the end of the season.
They can stay sleepy for now. But that's a tough stretch right there. I mean, you've got 3 teams in your own division on the road, St. Louis, Minnesota, Winnipeg, who are all potential playoff teams. And then you've got the 2-time defending Stanley Cup runners-up in the Edmonton Oilers. This is a gauntlet for this team. But the confidence is high. Going into this road trip, Robyn, how key is this for the Mammoth right now?
I think that the best way I can say is this win just gave them whatever momentum they needed to go into that swing with as much confidence as they can get, right? And they really needed that at the right time, because you're right, it is a gauntlet, it is a challenge coming up, but I feel like now, because not just of this win, but for a perfect homestand, that they feel fine. They feel like they can take on anything. Within reason. They're not going to go ahead and they're not going to get a bloated head and get overconfident, but they're riding high. Ride the momentum as best you can.
And they're going up against, first of all, a tough St. Louis team. I don't care what St. Louis's record ever is. I think St. Louis is always a tough out. I think they're a very difficult team to play against. Minnesota is not off to quite the start they want. They're hovering around that 500 mark, but they're still a team that's got a lot to prove. And then the Jets, they're still the Jets. They're stingy defensively. That's going to be a test for the goal scoring as well as the defense and the goaltending. And then, of course, the Oilers, high-flying offense, another good, stiff defensive test. So I really feel, and they're going to have to play different styles of game in here. I think St. Louis, Minnesota's a little more physical. I think Winnipeg is a little more tactical. And I think Edmonton is more of a speed game. So Utah is really going to have to show how they can adapt to different styles and overcome that, work it to their advantage so that they can play their game, establish their game, which is much tougher to do on the road.
It is. And that's exactly it, right? We want to be able to see the Mammoth adjust, yes, but also still be able to play their game. Not try to force to play the other guy's game, but adjust to how they play and play their own game. Which what we're seeing finally, Tom, by the way, something we didn't mention, but we're seeing finally is get that physical presence in there, which I have been loving.
It is nice to see. It is. I love seeing guys go in there, throw the body, play tough.
The Liam O'Brien effect, Tom.
Have they lost since he's been in the lineup? I just want to ask you a question. Can somebody tell me? I don't know. I don't know. I haven't been paying attention. I couldn't tell you if they're undefeated with Liam O'Brien in the lineup this year. I couldn't tell you. I don't just know that. Or maybe I do. But Robyn, it makes a difference. You get time and space. Those guys generate it for you. And when they stay out of the box, like they did tonight, Simashev is the only guy in the box. When those guys play tough and they're difficult and not in the penalty box, what else do you want?
You just touched on something very important, because actually it was interesting going into this game against Colorado. One of our, one of our subscribers, one of our viewers said, hey, they think one of the most important aspects is special teams. Talked about how it is that this team had been penalized a lot, and when they get penalized or on the penalty kill, they don't get the momentum, or they just allow the other team to take advantage of those opportunities and score. We didn't see that this time, right? As you mentioned, they only Simashev was sent to the box once, and they were on the power play twice and scored on one of those power plays.
That'll win you a lot of hockey games. So great job tonight for the Mammoth. A huge win, biggest win ever, franchise history. I'm standing on that one. I really think it is, because that now to me gives them the momentum to go through. Robyn, I said 7-4 was going to be a good mark coming through. That means they just need to go 2-2 on this road trip. In the month of October, they'll hit 7-4.
And you know what's interesting is that's certainly possible. Certainly possible.
Sure it is. They could go 3-1. They could go 4-0, but they could also go 0-4 if they're not careful. Let's not get too excited.
Yeah, exactly. Let's not get too excited. As much as excited we are, we're riding the momentum of this win because we can.
Yes.
Because we can. It was an exciting win. As you said, huge win.
Right now, Utah is a team that other teams in the NHL don't want to face. And that's exactly who you want to be.
To be among the hottest team. Maybe would it be? I don't think it'd be too far, far stretched right now to say the hottest team in the league.
You know what else is fun, Robyn? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Nobody in the NHL knows. They're not in the news. They're not the slow start kings. They're not are the Penguins going to trade Crosby? They're not the what's going on with the Vegas Golden Knights or the Washington Capitals, who are off to a hot start and grabbing a lot of headlines. They're not even Detroit.
Yeah. But this win being on national television just put them on the map.
It should put them in the consciousness. For the people who did watch the game, they got treated to an amazing game.
I mean, it came on right after, Marchand's return to Boston. So
yeah, and a very beat up Florida Panthers team. But I tell you what, I don't know. I don't think people are going to be paying attention for a while yet. I honestly think we're going to be into 2026 before we start to hear the Mammoth nationally being mentioned in a prominent role. It's just how I feel it's going to go. Robyn, is there anything that we didn't cover? Did we take the over, by the way?
No, I was pretty confident it was going to be.
I think we went under it because I said 3-2. And you said 3-2. We both said 3-2.
Yeah, we both said 3-2.
You actually said losing in overtime. I said winning, but I don't remember if I said regulation or not. I probably did.
I think you said regulation.
Yeah. So
check the tapes and let us know.
Yeah. But you know what? I'm happy either way. To see him get a win. So we mentioned the physical presence, the physical play. Was there anything else you wanted to cover?
No, I just, just got to reiterate. I just feel like the entire team was firing as best as we've seen so far this season. And just another reason to get excited. Mammoth fans, if you're listening when you first waking up in the morning, keep that excitement going. Keep it going. I know they're now about to head on the road, but keep that spirit up. So as you are waking up and catching this podcast, the
only 2 teams left that are undefeated in regulation are still the Avalanche, who are now 5-0-2, and the Vegas Golden Knights, also 5-0-2. They're the only ones left. So the fact that the Mammoth have been able to take points from the Avalanche, win that game in overtime, I think is huge. So I love it right now. I love the way it's lining up for the Mammoth here in this early part of October. Look, you're not going to win the Stanley Cup. You're not going to make the playoffs in October, but you can really help yourself out because the points all count the same, whether it's now, March, or April. So might as well pick them up. So gotta love it. Robyn, if folks want to reach out to us, if they have thoughts, comments on the game tonight or on the show itself, where can they find us?
Yeah, they can find us everywhere on social media. Primarily active over on Twitter/X at Locked On Mammoth. That's Locked On Mammoth. You can find me personally at Robyn_Leaño. I manage both my personal and the Locked On Mammoth accounts. You can DM us there, and I usually try to get back to you guys as soon as I can, by end of day, by next day at the very least. So just message me there if you have anything. Maybe put us in the mentions, but either one of those, you can reach out.
And you can find me on Blue Sky. I'm at Tom Talks, on Twitter at Callahan On Air. And as always, so excited to be talking about a Mammoth win here with you. Thanks for sharing it with us, and we will talk to you next time on Locked On Mammoth.